Is quite literally building the body and building the mind. I don't think of stepping on stage, the pursuit of aesthetics as the bodybuilding that I immediately think of. I think of literally building the mind, building the body. And the reason why I think that is because in my line of work as a firefighter, which I'm currently working right now, so if I get a call, I gotta get going. But when I think of bodybuilding and building the mind and building the body, is that I need to be strong mentally and physically for this job. Mentally, I have to be strong to push myself and know that I can do things that my mind tells me I can't. My mind tells me don't go in that burning building. That my mind tells me don't look at, that horrible accident or whatever. But I have to push through and say, just do it. I have to do it. That to me is building the mind. Building the body is also, when I go into that burning building, I have to be strong. I literally have to be strong. I'm only 150 pounds. I'm carrying 65 to 75 pounds of gear. My lungs have to be strong, so I have to breathe on the apparatus. And then if, let's say, a fellow firefighter, collapses or goes down, God forbid, I have to drag that person out. And they can be, 180, 200 pounds with their gear on. And then that's over 250 pounds, and I have to drag them out. And I have to be physically strong to do that. So that is why I got in the sport of powerlifting, to where I will develop that strength, and I will develop what is needed mentally to be able to save my fellow firefighter, or save a patient, or save myself if I have to. The mental aspect of powerlifting is where you want to break that PR, you have to break that PR, you have to get stronger in order to actually compete. And to me, you have to be mentally strong, because you're going to have that weight on your back, you're going to have that weight on your chest, and it's going to scare you. It's telling you you can't lift it. Your mind is saying, don't do this. Why are you putting yourself through all this pain? Why are you trying to lift this weight? And you literally have to tell your own body, your own mind, to shut up, and you have to lift it, and you got to do it. And I think that has moved on to other aspects of my life, personally and in my career. When I do have all that gear on, I hate it. I don't like having all that gear on. I don't like not being able to breathe. But I have to do it. I don't like having 50 pounds of hose on me with all my gear and having to drag it. I don't like having the sledgehammer and having to break down a wall with all that gear, with smoke and flames and everything. I don't like it, but I have to do it. And I think the sport of powerlifting and bodybuilding has really taught me that my mind is really the only barrier, and you have to build a strong mind, and your body will follow that. To me, that is what bodybuilding is.
Prep's hard, blah, blah, blah. Don't get me wrong. Prep is very hard. It's one of those things where you got to remember that we do it to ourselves, and there's no point in dragging other people around us. Family, friends, and everything. They're our biggest support in a job. You got to have money for it. So, it's nothing a little caffeine can't fix. But yeah, everything is going pretty good.
To compete in powerlifting. Basically for me, to compete, I've always liked the competition. I've always been an athlete growing up, and it gives me that competitive edge that I've always loved to have, and it's an individual sport. It helps push me to something that I never thought I could do, and like 3% of the population can only do it, and then if you get to the stage ready leanness that you get to, it's a great accomplishment. And just breaking the mental barriers of getting through the prep, because it can take a toll on your body, and it's a lot of fun.
Bit different because it is individual. I like the fact when I do prepare for it, I definitely know that I have my own internal limits, but I like the fact that I get to push myself a little bit more and surprise myself at the end. And the end sometimes is very huge, whether it's on stage or not, but stage always gives me that chance to show what I've done and what I've accomplished, not only to my family and friends, but to myself once I've achieved that goal that day.
Day, I came very close to crying or cried and was very angry in general. I honestly wasn't really angry about not being able to eat the food I wanted. I was just angry for the sake of being angry. And that's kind of alarming to me as someone that's supposed to be promoting health and fitness. And when I kind of took a step back, it really bothered me, to think that I had let myself get to the point that I got to. And the whole reason I continued dieting was that I was under the impression that I was kind of hiding it pretty well. And my boyfriend informed me that I definitely wasn't. We sat down, we talked, and he kind of just expressed that he felt that I had been very distant, and that when we had talked, I had really snapped at him or just kind of ignored him. And honestly, when I took a step back and actually looked at what our interactions had looked like before that, he was completely right. And when I was talking to him, it was pretty obvious how hurt he was by it. And I'm not going to get into details, but obviously it's a relationship and it means a lot to me. And to be very blunt, I don't feel strongly enough about bodybuilding shows to justify wrecking a relationship that could potentially last the rest of my life.
Competitive edge that I've always loved to have, and it's an individual sport. It helps push me to something that I never thought I could do, and like 3% of the population can only do it.
It gives me that chance to show what I've done and what I've accomplished, not only to my family and friends, but to myself once I've achieved that goal that day. As far as powerlifting,
mentally I have to be strong to push myself and know that I can do things that my mind tells me I can't. My mind tells me don't go in that burning building. That my mind tells me don't look at that horrible accident or whatever. But I have to push through and say just do it. I have to do it. That to me is building the mind. Building the body is also when I go into that burning building, I have to be strong. I literally have to be strong. I'm only 150 pounds. I'm carrying 65 to 75 pounds of gear. My lungs have to be strong, so I have to breathe on them.
If you're faced with a 400-pound deadlift, a 400-pound deadlift will always be a 400-pound deadlift, no matter what, on every single day of every single moment for the rest of eternity. 400 pounds will always be 400 pounds of iron. But if you give it the absolute best of your effort, one day 400 pounds may not feel like 400 pounds to you. Same thing with life. If you give life the absolute best of your effort, even in the absolute worst of your times, one day that life feeling like it's 400 pounds of weight on your back, I guarantee you it won't last. It won't feel that way, you know what I'm saying? You gotta eventually turn the corner.